Hello, everybody. Nice to see you today. My name is Jen Rzasa, and I am one of the co-founders of Altenew, and you are here with me for one of my new creative challenges. So this is a weekly installment of our live series where we do fun new challenges every week with a new theme, and I will show you my project as I create live, usually coming up with the idea live, not too pre-planned, is the way I like to do it. It's a little bit of chaos, add it to the mix for fun. And then I challenge you to find some time in your crafting space between now and next Tuesday to go ahead and get crafty with the week's prompt. So I have really been loving checking out everyone's projects, as always, right? You've got to find inspiration when you look at other people's work. I know I do. It's one of those things that, like, if you're ever in a creative rut, like, hop on to Pinterest, hop on to Instagram, hop onto Facebook and start scrolling. And I'm sure you'll get those creative juices flowing. Another way to get the juices flowing is with challenges such as this one. So let me just take a look at the comments and see who is joining us today. We've got Angel behind the badge, and we've got Ciamara, Miss Tamp, also, who liked and shared. Thank you for doing that, because now Miss Tamp is entered into a $15 drawing for a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. And all you need to do is share while we're live, and you'll be eligible to win that prize as well. Carrie and Kim, Eileen are all here. Sue and Amy also shared, along with a few others. Geraldine, creating eye candy. That's a really cute name. Tiffany and some others I may have missed. If I didn't give you a shout out, I am sorry. Just the comments pop up so quickly. Sometimes I miss them. So Christine is here. Carrie, two Carries spelled differently, Kari and Carrie, different Carries. Okay, love to see you all here. Love to see you popping in and saying hello. And I would love to talk about our challenge from last week, because I was so excited about this challenge. We had Bye Bye Black, and the whole point is to not use black on your project. And I knew this would be hard for me because I am definitely a black outline, black sentiment type of person. And as I mentioned last week, if I feel like a card is missing something, like I need the elements to pop more, I need it to be grounded, I need to add something a little extra just to make the project stand out. A lot of times I take a piece of black cardstock, I cut a little strip, and I either ground and anchor that at the bottom of my card or like towards one edge on the side. And I feel like that kind of helps fix some balance issues. It helps, like I said, ground the project. And without any of those at my disposal, I actually made a project that I'm not super in love with. I think it came out cute. I'll show it to you. We worked on it together in the last session, and it wasn't complete. It was almost complete, and I just had to do some assembling of the pieces. And I sat back and looked at it. I'm like, meh. It's okay. And that is another great thing about the challenges, because as you're pushing your creative limits, it might not always be a grand slam. So prior to this challenge, I've actually been really happy with everything that I've made on these challenges. And I really have been going outside of my own creative box and doing things that I wouldn't typically do, with a particularly challenging one where I did that kind of like grungy card. Go back, I think, 2 challenges, 2 or 3, and you'll find that one there. That was really different for me as a clean and simple crafter. So it's not always going to be a big hit. I've just been lucky that I've been really happy with my projects thus far. And then I'm not terribly thrilled. So I think I made some odd creative choices with the scale of the flowers, but here is my card that I finished with no black. I love the separate elements. I just didn't like them together. This was the other flower that I had stamped during the live. And I'm like, it's just huge, right? Look at it. It's like the size of my bird. There was another smaller flower in that stamp set. I should have used that one. This was the Simple Bloom set. Why didn't I do the other one? But I'm just like, I think I was just thinking of it separately. Like, I finished the bird element, and then I went over, I'm like, now let me do the flowers. Oh, let me have some variety in the size. Let's do a big flower and a small flower. And I just wasn't thinking about the scale. So I could not figure out how to get this to look good. And then I also felt like I was missing that grounding element just because I had like branches coming out from 2 sides. And I would have loved to put a strip of black cardstock, but that was against the rules. So I did some scoring. Maybe you could see, there we go. So I do this when I just want to add a little bit of texture, but not add depth and dimension. So it just adds a little interest there. So I think that helped a little bit doing those score lines, but it's not my favorite. So lesson here is it's still fun, right? You don't have to have an amazing or amazing to you finished project. And also that doesn't mean that someone else isn't going to like it or want it. And some of you guys are saying really sweet things. I'm seeing it came out nice. It's lovely. So everyone's tastes are different. I just know that when I finished, maybe it was because there wasn't black. Maybe I just wanted some more black, but that and the scale issue. So, you know, we'll continue. Maybe I'll try this card again. Maybe I'll try this challenge again, and I'll see if I could get it where I want it to be. But this is where we landed last week. So now let's announce the winner, because I did go through the projects that you uploaded. Oh, before I get there, I'm seeing Kim saying, what if you placed it on the top branch and run it off the card? Yeah, like I could just have it come off the card and then maybe trim off the excess so it's not as much of a visual eyesore. That might not be a bad idea. Thank you. Yeah, maybe I could do that so I can still incorporate it, because I think it's a little off balance just having this bare branch up there with just a single leaf. So it'll be a work in progress. Maybe if I can make some adjustments to the point that I really like it and want to share it again, I'll share it with you guys. All right, so hello to anybody else who has come in. And if you've just come here, welcome. Someone says, has Jen done any kind of post or video about the white storage boxes? I mentioned this in one of the lives, and maybe in my craft room tour that I did. It's on the Altenew Facebook. It's on the Altenew YouTube channel. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, probably 3, I did a craft room tour, and I may have mentioned the boxes. It's just random stuff. So like this one says general art supplies. There's like fishing line and like paper towel tube, like just random stuff that I might use for projects one day. Acrylic paint. I've got a couple of bins with glitter. I've got all my Altenew spray inks in here. So it's just kind of random chaos at this point as I'm continuing to work on the never-ending project of craft room organization. So I'm hoping that once everything is organized, I can maybe film a new tour of the craft room and there'll be better used space. Okay, so last week we had a lot of participation. I always love seeing that. And the person that I chose this week, I felt like I had a kinship with them because they said that they had inked their panel and they used a stencil and they weren't happy that some of the color from the leaves bled into some of the color of the flowers. And I instantly felt a connection there because I wasn't entirely happy with my project, but hers came out awesome. And I will show it to you right now. Just give me a second to do the screen share. It just takes a second. Okay, so this is Dawn Turley's card. And what I added in my comment and what I'm going to mention now is having the green bleed into the flowers made it look like watercolor to me. Because if you ever have done watercolor before and you don't let one area dry, if you paint another color next to it and those colors happen to touch, the color will kind of bleed over into the initial painted area. And it just looked like that to me. And I thought it was really cool. And before I read the caption, I thought it was intentional. It looked that good to me. So even though Dawn felt like it was maybe an oopsie, she was able to turn it into a really fantastic card. So I'm really happy with how hers came out, and maybe she's happy with how mine came out. Maybe we have like mutual respect for one another's projects. So congratulations there, and make sure that you contact us by emailing winner@altenew.com. Now, if you want to get in all the fun, make sure you share with our hashtag. So I'll be talking about today's challenge. And if you create something, it does not have to be a card. It does not have to be a finished project. It doesn't even have to be something you love and like feel like it represents your best work. Share what you created. I want everyone to feel empowered and feel inspired to create, no matter how much time you have, no matter if you are happy with what you made or not, just to get in that habit. And then the online community is so amazing. You will get some great feedback, and maybe they'll get you to look at your project in a different way, especially if it is an incomplete or maybe something you had that wasn't entirely to your liking. I don't want to say you don't like it, because I think as crafters, we all can appreciate a project that doesn't go as planned and you can still see the beauty in it. So please share. And the hashtag is hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And if you share that publicly, I'll be able to find it. Most people do share within the Altenew Facebook fan group. If you're not part of that group and you do use Facebook, please join it, because it's really fun and a supportive group of crafting fans. And Altenew people do pop in periodically and give some feedback on projects and answer questions that you might have. So it's a really fun place to hang out. So please do that as well. But you can also just post it publicly with the hashtag on your social media account. So that'll work too. All right, so one more congratulations there to Dawn. Great project. And that brings us to today. So today we have our mini mission. And this one might be hard. We've had a few tough ones, and this one might be hard. Even I'm wondering, how am I going to pull this off? And I'm very excited to see how that all unfolds today. So the mini mission is to create a project using only a mini stamp set. Okay, now mini, I'm going to call 4x3 or 3x4 or smaller. So I would say the most standard size for a stamp set is 4x6, especially in the earlier days of stamping when the photopolymer stamps came out. 4x6 was like the size, the industry standard completely across the board. And then, you know, some companies, including Altenew, we were early to jump on the 6x8 bandwagon, or even one of the first. I don't really know exactly, but I remember we were really early to introducing larger sets because we wanted to give more value. And although they cost a little bit more, you do get a lot more options when it comes to layering images, when it comes to having coordinating sentiments, things that you can use one set to create a project, and you'll have everything that you need because it's so much bigger. And today I want you to do that with a smaller set. There lies the challenge. So Altenew does have quite a few mini stamp sets. We actually have a Mini Delight subscription that you might be familiar with. And that subscription includes a 3x4 stamp set and a coordinating die set. And you can use that to create a project. And the intention is that even in that small size, you still have everything that you need. So it's not just going to be sentiments with nothing else, because then you wouldn't be able to create a whole project unless you did just like a text art or some kind of typography set or a typography project. So the intention is to include everything that you would need, even though it's a small set. And today I'm taking it even farther because I am going to be using a 2x3 stamp set. You know, let's make this challenge hard. So let me pop you down. I'll show you what I've got and we can get crafting. And Miss Tamp is already looking through her minis. I hope you have minis. So that's what you will need to create your project today, is using a smaller 3x4 is okay. 3x4 or smaller, no 4x6 sets. And let me switch my camera down. Here we are. Okay, so I was thinking, if I'm going to really challenge myself by using a 2x3 set, why don't I go with one of the Mini Delights? Because our older Mini Delight subscription used to be 2x3. That was before we went to a slightly larger size of doing the 3x4 size. Let me just show you what a 3x4 size stamp set looks like, so you can compare. Yes, this is one of my personalized sets. We do periodically, once a year, we give out personalized stamp sets to some loyal customers who shop directly through us at altenew.com. And this size is 3x4. So this is the more standard mini size that we carry now. We very infrequently come out with new 2x3s, but it's still a good size. And that's why I'm going with this one today. So we've got teeny tiny stamp set. Now I went through my minis before I went live, and I store all my 2x3 sets in one of these bins. I think this might be one of those refrigerator bins. Not positive where I got it. I got it so long ago. And I have 2 of these, and all of my 2x3 sets fit perfectly in there. So I just flipped through and I picked out these 2 sets, the Mini Delight Victorian and the painted hummingbirds. But as much as I love the painted hummingbirds, I just really felt drawn to the Victorian today. Now, this does come with a coordinating die because it is a Mini Delight. And as I said before, that subscription is a stamp and die combo. But I'm going to really try to make it tougher on myself, and I'm not even going to use the die. This might be my famous last words right there. I'm not using the die. Now, when you create your project, if your chosen mini stamp set has a coordinating die set, you can use that. You just can't use another die set. So that means I can't use the set and then like, oh, I have this cursive sentiment that says hello on another die, and I'll use that as my sentiment. Nope, because that's bringing another product into it. Only use your mini stamp set, and if it has a coordinating die, and if it has a coordinating stencil, I'll say you can use that too. Okay, so pick a mini stamp set and whatever coordinating products it might come with to use for your project, and do not grab anything else. So although I can use the die, and maybe I'll get desperate later on, we'll see, but I'm going to try to go without the die for this one. All right, I know I'm doing so much talking, but I want to show you one more thing before we get crafting, and that is the web listing for this set. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because if you're ever stuck on what to do with a stamp set, especially if you're giving yourself a challenge like this, like, can I take a inexpensive set and create a whole project from it? Looking at the samples from our website is really going to be helpful because you can see how it was used. So here's an example. Nicole Watt created this card, and this is just watercolored background, the stamped Victorian, and the sentiment hello. If I go to the next one, this used 2 mini stamp sets, but you could definitely just as easily stamp the same Victorian house up here. And adding those lines, you can do that with a pen, or you can even cut some cardstock. Using extra cardstock is fine. You can use layers, but you know, this is another clever way to use just this stamp set. This is more like what I'm envisioning for today, as I want to do different colored houses. So just using this one set, here's a card. And you wouldn't look at this and be like, wow, that card's missing something. It needs another set. So this is a really great way just to show that you can use inexpensive supplies to create something expensive looking and luxurious. So that's what we have here. Okay, so since I'm not going to be trying not to use my die, I'm going to make this a 1-layer project. So I am going to be stamping directly onto my A2 card panel. And I'm seeing some comments here about the project inspo on the website. Carrie says she loves getting inspiration from the website and the Altenew blog. And then also the insert cards also have inspiration too. Let me just get this die out of the way so I can show you. And Kimberly says, I always look at what the designers do so I can do my spin. Exactly. That's what we're doing it for. You don't have to feel bad. You could copy this exactly. We give you all the inks. Oh my gosh, sorry, it's so out of focus because my camera's not auto-focusing right now. But the inks are here and the card sample is here. Go ahead and copy this. That's a fine idea if you are really stuck, or just find inspiration and do your twist on it. Geraldine says she has about 6 minis, so she should be able to figure something out. Yeah, I think so. And Christine says the Mini Delight gives you lots of options to create. It absolutely does. Now, I haven't used this set in many years. This is another oldie. Can you tell I like using older sets? And it's not because I don't like the new sets. It's just because I know a lot of our designers on the design team and the guests are already creating with them all the time. They're using the new release. So I want to show you that you can also give some love to your older products that you have. You don't need to buy new things, although let's be real, it's fun and awesome to buy new things. So I know a lot of us tend to, but if you're crafting on a budget, use what you have. Okay, so I just went in and used our stamp conditioning eraser just to make sure I have a nice surface on this for my stamping. We talked a little more about the stamp conditioning eraser last week as well. So I always have them just right next to me, and it's easy just to grab whenever I need to condition my stamps, and that does help with more even inking. And I don't need to have this centered because I'm not doing like a symmetrical or wreath orientation or anything for my stamp wheel. But if you wanted to and you wanted to get this perfectly centered, we do have alignment guides that are like these little stencil material L guides that you would put in the corner of your stamp wheel to ensure that your cardstock is perfectly centered. But I'm good with it being imperfectly centered. Okay, now if I look at the image here, I just have 2 layers, and I love the look of Victorian homes, especially those nearby where I live in Massachusetts. So Victorians are like really big in New England area, and the ones that are painted like wild colors, I adore that. I love that so much. If I ever lived in a Victorian, I would absolutely have the crazy, crazy colors. So I'm going to be a little bit creative here with my choices. I'm going to grab Easy Breezy and maybe Parrot to start off with, because I think these colors look spectacular together. It is okay to use other inks. Yeah, someone was asking about Altenew items. You don't have to use Altenew items. You can use what you have. So Carrie says about Distress Oxides. Yeah, use what you have. Don't buy anything new unless you want to. And as I'm looking at this, I'm trying to think of where I want my ground to be, because what I want to do is a row of houses. Somewhere towards the bottom have the sentiment, and then I want to do some ink blending in the background. So I'm trying to visually plan this out, and I'm going to start with not exactly in the center. Again, since it's just like going to be a row of houses, I don't have to be perfectly centered. And I might just grab a pencil and just quickly sketch a little line across to use as a guide that I can always erase later. I could even use the stamp conditioning erasers because they do work as regular erasers. And let me just get a straight edge. My rulers are not next to me. Okay, we're really getting crafty here. I'm going to use the edge of a piece of cardstock as my straight edge. Okay, so I'm just going to go across. If I had my rulers, this would be significantly easier. And I'm going to count how many boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put a little mark there. On the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just lightly sketch a line across. So the reason why my rulers are not nearby is, again, I've been organizing, and now I kind of don't know where anything is. You know, it gets worse before it gets better whenever you're organizing. All right, you can't see that line. I can see it. It's right across here like that. And I'm just going to place this, again, not in the center. Doesn't need to be, because it's going to be a row, so it's okay. And I will pick this up with the plate of the stamp wheel. This is the flip plate. And I'll start with the Easy Breezy ink. Christine says, I always want to buy new things. Yeah, me too. New things are fun. Just don't forget about the old products. Use them both. Love them equally. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold. Okay, love it. All right, this layering house is half done. Isn't that fantastic? Now, I would, if I had planned more early, like more in depth, I would do all the first layers and then go back and do the second layers. However, I'm not sure how I want these to go and what colors. So I'm just going to hold this image off to the side and now go back in with my next layer, just lining that up. And I'll use the parrot ink this time, and then we'll see what other colors we want to do. Super cute, super easy. For those of you who are just joining us, the challenge is to use minis, mini stamp sets, 3x4 or smaller, to create your project. This is so adorable. You guys, is that not like the cutest thing? And how easy that was. I love it. Okay, so one is done, and let's move on to the next house. And as I was stamping, I got a great idea. So what I'm going to do is take the parrot, and instead of having that be the roof of the next house, I'm going to have that be the base of the next house. And I will go kind of in a rainbow order, both directions, and using one color from the last house in the next house. If that doesn't make sense the way I explained it, once you see what I'm doing, it should make a bit more sense. Just leaving a little bit of space in between my houses. Just like that. And if you are curious about the Altenew mini stamp sets, especially the 2x3 size, I recommend that you go on the website and look them up, because some of them are on sale and it's cheap. Like I think I saw some that are like $3 right now. So you really can do a lot for an affordable price. So there is the start of my next house. And now, since we're going in a rainbow order, I'm going to grab a yellow, and let's go with mid yellow. These are going to be so cute. Just a little row. Oops, got some water from where I cleaned my stamp. So I'm actually not going to stamp that yet. Do you see that little water blob? So when I clean my stamps, I do use a damp chamois cloth, and I think a little bit just got into the crevices. And if I stamp on that, it's going to bleed out because our dye ink is water-based. So if you ever get some wetness on your project like that, just give it a chance to dry. Or if you're using like spray inks or you're doing watercolor and mixed media and you don't want your regular ink to bleed, give it a second to dry. So let's just back it up and go this way now. So for the house on this side, I'm going to use a purple, and I'll use Be Grapeful, and that will go with the Easy Breezy. This is going to be such a cute little color scheme. Okay, so if I have to like say it out loud so I get it right. So if the base of the house is the Easy Breezy here, the base of this house will be the Be Grateful, and the roof will be Easy Breezy. Make sure I'm grabbing the correct image, which I am. Again, just leaving a little space in between. And that line is helping me. I'm not too concerned about keeping it exact. If it comes out wonky, I do have another plan, and that is to cut another strip of cardstock, maybe gray, to act as like a road color, and just put that here on top, and then it'll fix any unevenness. But you guys know, since I'm making up this project as I go along and I don't have a plan, we'll see how it goes. But that might be a fun option to do that. Okay, I think it should be good. I don't want there to be too much space. I want to be about similar to what I did here. And like I said, this house is going to be Grateful. These colors are just so fun. It's a great purple. It's a nice, deep, cooler toned. So it's not very pink or warm. It's not like reddish toned. And as I go through here, you could see my little Victorian village coming together. This would also be another great set to use for Halloween projects, because if you made it like black and gray and added like creepy fences or something around it, you could probably draw a fence really easily with just a plain black marker or pen. You'd have a really super creepy looking project. So I think these little Victorians would be great for Halloween too. But here's the opposite. We've got a nice little rainbow. Cece or Ceci says she loves the stamp conditioning eraser. Me too. I do love it. Okay, so now we have Easy Breezy for the roof here. Oh, this one. This is the one I want to live in. Right there. That's my house, you guys. This will be the one I live in. The Easy Breezy and the Be Grateful. It's so cute. Super, super cute. All right. So Liz says, Cindy Rogers, those are great ideas. And I missed it. Let me see if I can find the comment. Oh, I may have missed it. All right. I'll have to go back and see what great ideas those are that you're referring to. Okay. Now we're going to go over here. And the base of this house, let's go with like a pink. Because then it'll be pink and purple. And I do want to have a deep pink. You guys know I use Rubelite a lot. I think that'll look super cute. And then by the time we finish this house, I think my green will be ready to stamp on without bleeding. And if you guys notice, when I stamp solid images, I do like a wiggle first with my ink pad, and then I pounce it. So a little wiggle and a pounce. And I find that's how I get the best impression, because for me, the wiggle just helps me get the ink everywhere. But then if you stamp it a solid image right after you do the wiggle, you might get streaks from where you wiggled the stamp pad. So after you do the wiggle, do a pounce, and that will definitely help you get a more even, consistent color layer. So this will be another cute one. I still think I'm going to live in this house, but I think I'm really going to love the pink and purple house. Can I live in all of them? Can I just buy the whole street of houses and then just invite all my friends to live in them? My friends and family. We could all have our own cute home, and then we'll trade every couple of years, so we get to live in different colors. All right, so I'll put the Rubelite away. And now back to Be Grateful. And the roof is going to be this purple tone. So again, a wiggle and a pounce to get some nice coverage. Okay, my friends, who's living in this pink house? Because this is my second favorite, the pink and purple. One of you has to live here, and then we'll have crafting parties, okay? All right, let me just double check on my little water blob from before. It feels dry to me, so I think we can continue on. Yeah, Florina's saying if I bought them all, we could have a craft extravaganza. Let's do it. I really want to. Yeah, and each house will maybe be like a different themed craft, right? And then you could spend the whole weekend just going from house to house and doing all your different projects. All right, now I need the roof for this one to be yellow. So that's the mid yellow. All right, Liz and Christine are going to have to fight over the pink because they both said it. Although Christine said it 1 second earlier. I'm looking at the timestamps on your comments. So Christine was a little bit faster than Liz. So you guys can share the house. If not, then it's going to Christine. Okay. All right, let's go to the mid yellow. And as I'm stamping, because obviously this is just the same process over and over again, I want to remind any newcomers or let newcomers know that our challenge is mini mission. And the mission is to create an entire project just using mini stamp sets. And that is a 3x4 or smaller sized set. And I'm choosing to give myself the extra challenge of using a 2x3-inch stamp set. This house will be yellow. I kind of hate that it goes exactly to the edge. You know, I told you I wasn't planning out, but maybe if I'd thought ahead, I would just move these over because it's not as visually appealing to have it here. But what I can do, and maybe what I will do, is just trim this panel down, trim the top and the bottom, and mount it onto a bigger piece of cardstock. That way we're not just like ending the row here with a solid house. Maybe it'll look a little more appealing with a partial house. But this one will be yellow, and then I'll pick an orange color for the roof. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing. Liz says she'll have to get a peachy color house. Yeah, I think you might have to. Maybe this one will be yours because we'll do the yellow, and maybe instead of like a straight orange, I'll see if I can quickly find a peachy. Yeah, I've got peachy keen. I don't know if it's going to be contrasting enough. I can see what other colors I have that might work to give you a peachy house. So then this one will be for you, Liz. So I don't think anybody's claimed these two in the middle. Someone's got to live there. Okay, let's look for a nice orange. I could also try the peachy keen, and if it doesn't look dark enough, I can always stamp over it again to get a second generation darker stamping, or I could just stamp it over with a darker color. But yeah, I could do orange cream, but that's not very peachy. I have peachy glow, but that's super light. Guys, do we need to release more inks so we have more peachy colors? Is that what we have to do? All right, let's try peachy keen. And then, like I said, we'll stamp over it if it's not dark enough. Okay, so just lining up the last roof. Tiffany wants the turquoise and green one. Oh, Sue says I want the greenhouse. Oh, Cece says any of them. Okay, we'll have to have more houses then. Maybe I'm just stamping out one street and then there'll be another street, like, or maybe across from these houses on the other side of the street where the rest of you can live. I don't want to leave anybody out. Okay, so let's see where we are with peachy keen. Oh, I definitely don't think this is going to work, but let's stamp it out anyway. Wait, I don't know. Maybe it's good. Let me stamp it one more time. So again, the joy of having a stamp positioner is you can line up exactly where the first stamp was and just do a double stamping. And this will intensify that color a bit. I think we're good. Oh, I love this street. This is so cute. Okay, so now that we have all of our houses, let's think about how to finish this card. Like I said, I did want to do some ink blending. So let's get a nice light color. Something that I can just ink up at the very, very top. Polar bear might be good. Now, I know that this is like a very gray, light blue. Very, very light. Like I almost can't call it a blue, more of just a cool gray. But I think it could work. So let's give it a try. I've got my favorite size blending brush right here. These are the minis. I'm going to grab a fresh mini because this is such a light color. And I'm grabbing a mini because if I do some inking and it's a little bit lighter in some areas, a little bit darker in some areas, I think it might give the illusion of clouds. If I wanted to make a really solid blend, I would choose a different ink blending brush. I would probably take a small ink blending brush or even one of these large sizes, and that would help just provide a really consistent color. But I want to maybe have that like mottled look of clouds. Happiness Town, that's what Nancy calls it. That's really cute. I'm expecting this to be almost not even be able to be seen. It might still be too light. This is a great, great light color if you're doing no line watercoloring because you can see it. However, it is so light that after you do your watercoloring or your coloring, the lines would essentially disappear. You can't even see that. Holy moly. Okay, it's there, but not working for a camera. So let's put this away and take a different color out. I still want to be really light. So let's try Arctic. Another mega light blue color. This one I think will just be a little bit darker and should be able to show up on camera. Yep, you can see that. Okay. So I'll add just the hint of some clouds, little sky here. And I'm not going to spend too much time working on this because we are starting to approach the end of our session here. And I do want to have time to add the sentiment and maybe add the street that I was talking about with like a gray cardstock. And as I go down, I'm just going a little bit lighter with my blending. And any areas where I don't have color, they look like clouds. Oh, gosh, guys, I'm so sorry for the glare today. Some days I think the glare is worse than others. This does not look as pretty on camera as it is in person. I think maybe when we get to the end of the live and I use the front camera again, instead of this one that's facing down, you might be able to see it a little bit better than what you're seeing here. But yeah, it's definitely looking like clouds. We also have a cloud stencil called the Cloud Scene stencil that you can use to create realistic looking clouds. But for this card, I really like the look of this really organic, fluffy looking clouds. And I'm just, again, going lighter and lighter as I go down. And it's just giving the impression of a cloudy sky. Don't want too many clouds because in our happy street of crafting, we want to have some sun, don't we? So not too many clouds. All right, let me just darken up a little bit more up here. Maybe on the corner. I like having darker corners when I ink blend. Just think it looks nice. Okay, so we have a completed sky that you could barely see, but I think you can see that it is there. Okay, now let's get a piece of cardstock. And my cardstock is kind of behind me on the floor. So let me just go off screen for a second. I'm still here, I promise. And I think I'm going to use a lighter gray. Let's see, where do I want darker? That was Morning Frost. Let me go with a darker gray. This one is Evening Gray. Yeah, I think that should be great. Okay, so we'll do some Evening Gray. Amy says, yes, it looks like patchy clouds. You guys don't see the glare. Excellent. I don't know why I'm kind of seeing it, but. Okay, so I'm grabbing just a sheet of this cardstock, the Evening Gray, and I'm going to cut a strip. I can just take this out of the stamp wheel for now. I'll clean up later. Note to self, Jen, don't forget to clean up. Okay, put that aside. Because the only other thing I have to stamp anyway is the greeting. And you guys know I'm a crazy lunatic who holds an acrylic block to do my sentiments. I don't think I found anybody else who does this. I talk about it all the time. And I watch videos and I don't think anybody does that. Everyone wants the security of, I don't know, I put my phone there. Everyone wants the security of using a stamp positioner for their sentiment. And it makes so much sense. However, I feel like when I do that, I still get it crooked for some reason. I don't know why. It's just a me thing. It's not a thing against stamp positioners. It's just me. And I find I have more control when I use an acrylic block with the etchings. Good, going old school for it, for real. Okay, so I'm looking to see how wide I want this. And if I go and put it here, it's about 3/4 of an inch. So I'll just do a little bit wider than 3/4 of an inch, just so that I can have a little bit hanging over the bottom of the houses. Because I don't want it to be too short. I'd rather be a little bit too tall. Okay, so now just slice this down. And this should fit across, and then we'll just trim off the excess. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so we have a little street for us all to live on. I think I'm just going to use glue tape for this instead of foam tape. It would look great with foam tape too, but every once in a while I like having these flat cards just because they're easier to put in envelopes and to mail. Just going to line this up along the bottom. And let me grab my scissors to just trim off that excess. Oh, Sue has a Misty, but likes to go old school with blocks. Yeah, she said she started out over 30 years ago stamping with blocks. Same. That's what I did. I always used acrylic blocks. So I think that's where I'm comfortable. So speaking of acrylic blocks, let's get this one that I still cannot clean this off. There's like a little pink. I think I can't use my stamp cleaning spray for this. I need to actually bring it downstairs and clean it with some soap and water, and I just have not done that yet. Okay, here is my set, and we can go with thanks or hello. I think hello is good. So I'm just going to place this here on my block following one of the etched lines, just like that. And my obsidian is back. Guys, last week, I was so sad I had to put an X on my obsidian ink so that I wouldn't accidentally use it on our Bye Bye Black project. It's good to have you back. Love you, obsidian. It's just grabbing some ink here. This is a really great ink for tiny, detailed, fine greetings like this. I'll do my best to stamp it straight, but it is hard with the camera above me that I can't get directly above it. But the lines on my mat and the lines here on the block should help. There we go. That looks straight to me. And here it is. This was just such a fun little project. I really love it. Now, if I wanted to jazz this up, I definitely could add some embellishments, maybe some clear sequins or clear drops. I could add a little bit of smoke coming out of one of the chimneys. If I wanted to do that, I would go with a tiny, tiny blending brush. For example, we have these detail blending brushes. Okay, I have some that are already opened, but I like to always have some clean ones, new ones on hand that when I need them for a new color. So using a smaller brush would definitely help if you wanted to create like a little puff of smoke from the chimney. But looking at our time, I think that we're going to call this one done. I'm super happy with how it came out. I'm happy to have black in my life again. I'm happy that I'm going to be able to live in this house right here next to you guys. We'll all have our big craft parties and our fun crafting adventures. Okay, so this is the project using just the Mini Delight Victorian stamp set. So this is a 2x3 stamp set. Let me flip you guys back up so I can see if this is showing the clouds better through the other camera. Okay. Maybe? Yeah. I feel like if we get the right angle, okay? You could absolutely see the clouds there. It is subtle. So I know it's hard to see and it's not like pow in your face. I want it to be a light color so it looks more realistic of what you might see on a cloudy day. So those are the houses. That is the sky above it. And I can't wait for you guys to create something. So if you want to join in the challenge, make sure you create a project using the prompt, which is to use a mini stamp for our mini mission, and post to public social media using the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And throughout the week, I'll be checking out your projects. I'll see which one speaks to me for whatever reason. You guys know I am not choosing projects in any sort of fashion as far as like, well, here's my rubric and you have to have checked off the boxes. No, because that's not the type of challenge this is, because I don't want you guys to feel like you can't submit something that is not representative of your best work. I want you to submit whatever you create. So don't worry, it's no stress. I'm going to pick something that I can feel connected to for one reason or another. I always love reading your little stories of how you made the card, how you felt about the challenge too, because some of you have some strong emotions about whether the challenge was really easy or very difficult. So I'm hoping this is a good one. I hope you guys have some mini stamps. I also hope you go to the Altenew website and check out all of our mini stamps, and not just the 3x4s, but these itty bitty 2x3 sets too, because they are a really good value for your money. And you don't even need to use the coordinating die. I didn't use the coordinating die here. So of course the Mini Delights you do need to buy as a bundle with the die, because that's just the nature of that product. But we have plenty of other 2x3 stamp sets that I think that you can definitely create a whole project with. If you're not sure where to start, go on the website and see what the designers created. And that'll just about do it for me today. So I'll see if there are any other comments I missed. It looks like I've seen most of these, but it is possible that I missed some as we went through. So I'll go back after we're finished and I will check and see if there's any comments that need to be addressed. And then if you shared while we were live, just in a moment after I sign off, there's going to be a winner announced in the comments and tagged. And if that's you, you can contact us at winner@altenew.com and you can get a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store that way as well. All right, sorry, I did a lot of talking today. As usual, I'm going to go have a cup of tea or coffee and take a little break. So I hope everybody out there has a wonderful and crafty day, and I will see you next time. Bye.